Euclid's Influence on the Field of Mathematics by Oli Banerjee. Throughout the history of geometry, there have been thousands of mathematicians who have contributed to forming the field. Pythagoras was famous for the discovery of the Pythagorean theorem and his work with right triangles. Apollonius of Perga was known for his work and progress in the study of conics. From ancient Greece to modern day, there have been so many influential mathematicians, but only one in particular has had the greatest influence on the field. Euclid of Alexandria is by far the most influential mathematician from the beginning of geometry. As far back as 300 BC, Euclid created a format and idea that was followed by mathematicians and passed down from generation to generation. His Euclidean geometry is a widely used form of geometry because of how well spread it was. Euclid, the father of geometry, was arguably the most influential mathematician of his time because of his book Elements, which had mathematical proofs, the Euclidean algorithm, and a greater understanding of proofs and postulates. Euclid's famous book, Elements, is the guide for Euclidean geometry and shaped modern geometry into what it is today. Euclid's many geometric principles and theories were all gathered and put together in a book called Elements. Elements was a combination of Euclid's life work. It included his proofs, postulates, principles, and many more guidelines for Euclidean geometry. This book was integral in spreading Euclidean geometry to the masses. In 1492, Elements was published in Latin and Arabic from its original language of Greek. Later, in 1570, after the printing press was invented, Elements was mass-produced in English, which was an important book during the Renaissance. By translating and mass-producing Elements, Euclid's principles and ideas were spread throughout Europe and Asia, thus influencing millions and now billions of people. And because this book has all the principles and algorithms, it was much easier for people to access and study. This led to more intelligent and not knowledgeable people who understood mathematics. Euclid's book being so impactful is one of the many reasons why he is the most influential mathematician. Another one of Euclid's greatest influences was his discovery of the Euclidean algorithm and mathematical proofs. One of Euclid's most famous mathematical findings was the algorithm he created to find the greatest common divisor, or the GCD, of numbers. The algorithm, known as the Euclidean algorithm, is a part of his book Elements. Though created in 300 BC, the algorithm is computationally efficient with minor modifications, is still used by computers today. The algorithm works by dividing and calculating numbers. One example to find the GCD of 56 and 12, first divide 56 by 12 to get 4, and the remainder is 8. Now take the divisor, 12, and divide it by the remainder, 8, and write the result, 12 equals 1 times 8 plus 4. Continuing this manner, take the previous divisor, 8, and divide it by the previous remainder, 4, and write the result as 8 equals 2 times 4 plus 0. Since the remainder is now 0, the process is finished and the last non-zero remainder, in this case 4, is the greatest common divisor. Euclid's algorithms were so complex at his time, it is a wonder how he came up with it so brilliantly. Finding the GCD may seem simple, but so many more equations, formulas, and calculations depend on it to this very day. That is another huge impact Euclid had on the field of mathematics, and more specifically, geometry. Euclid's book, Elements, was most importantly filled with postulates and proofs of geometric theorems. Today, in the 21st century, proofs and postulates are a staple for every formula. Every theorem and principle in geometry needs to have a proof. A mathematical proof is evidence or an argument for a mathematical statement. Elements also included Euclid's 5 postulates, though only 4 of them had proofs and were recognized. The first one says that a straight line segment can be drawn joining any 2 points. The second one says that any straight line segment can be extended indefinitely in a straight line. The third one says that given any straight line segment, a circle can be drawn having the segment as its radius. The fourth one states that one endpoint as its center, all right angles are congruent. 4 out of 5 of Euclid's postulates are commonly used every day and have great importance in geometry. Euclid's postulates and proofs is one of the most pivotal discoveries and has helped advance the field of geometry greatly. Euclid, a Greek mathematician, is historically the most impactful mathematician because of his book Elements, the Euclidean algorithm and mathematical proofs, and a greater understanding of proofs and postulates. Euclid's life work, which was his book Elements, was impactful in many ways. Elements was able to spread the study of geometry all over the globe with the guidebook to Euclidean geometry, the most common form of geometry. Euclid's algorithm for finding the greatest common divisor, a complex algorithm at the time, is still prevalent today. Now it is computerized and perfected so it can be used efficiently. Finally, Euclid's work with geometrical theories can be deemed revolutionary. Euclid created the basic understanding of proofs and postulates for the public and helped teach the world about an important part of geometry. Euclid's work in the field of geometry has remained relevant and withstood the test of time. Euclid found his discoveries in 300 BC, but in the year 2019, he has held the title as the father of geometry. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this presentation.